Good evening and welcome to College Football Wraparound here on this Wednesday before Thanksgiving, literally the day before Thanksgiving. And we are so glad you could join us. I'm Cooper Naylor, and we've got a lot coming up, folks. So here we go. Here is a look at today's schedule. It's looking like this. We're going to recap week 12 in just moments. Undefeated Michigan and TCU really struggled. Then we're going to talk about USC beating UCLA. And is Caleb Williams a Heisman contender right now? South Carolina, they destroyed Tennessee. CFP rankings and my poll, of course. Tulane, Cincinnati tomorrow, Friday, will be a game that will clinch the berth in the American Championship game. The Egg Bowl, is this Lane Kiffin's last game at Ole Miss? Week 11 predictions recap. We've got a big announcement coming up at 7:44, and then we've got our game picks, and then our outro. So let's go ahead and dive into all things college football. Folks, last week was something. And when I mean something, Michigan and TCU both had to kick field goals to win the game. Had it not been for the field goals, then they lose the game. So it was incredible to see. Um, um, Tennessee getting destroyed by South Carolina. So Colton, my editor, he is back today for the first time in a long time. So he's had a lot going on lately. So, nice to have him back. He's got the scores of the games coming up here in just a second on the ticker. There it is down there. TCU 29-28 over Baylor. Illinois loses 19-17 to Michigan. Georgia survives 16-6. South Carolina puts a thumping on Tennessee 63-38. USC 48-45 over UCLA. Utah loses to Oregon 20-17. So that's some of the big games from this past week. So there is your recap. And now let's move on and talk about what does it mean for undefeated Michigan and TCU to be struggling. This is a bad sign because with the way that, and I'll show you the CFP rankings a little bit later, but with the way that this season has gone so far, you can't really afford to look bad. TCU is one of these teams that personally, if Michigan and TCU, Michigan, I feel like they can breathe a little easier than TCU. If TCU, let's all be honest about this. USC, if they win out and win the Pac-12 championship, then they're going to jump TCU. And although it will seem a little bit dirty, at the same time, folks, this is going to be that moment where people are going to have to realize USC is going to get ahead of TCU no matter what the circumstance is. If USC's one loss and TCU is either undefeated or one loss, TCU gets jumped. And it is sad to see that that's going to happen, but it will. Because TCU would not be able to really compete in a game in the playoff. Because if I'm being honest with you, watching Cincinnati last year was very reminiscent of what you could see from TCU in the playoff. And that is a struggling team. And so I don't know. I really hope for the best for TCU. Only thing they can really do is continue to win and just hope for a lot of crazy madness. Really, if we're being honest here, they need USC and Clemson to lose again. if they could get USC or Clemson to lose again, then they're going to be fine. Because I'm in the belief of I think Clemson would jump them if Clemson were to win out, because Clemson would be a better team. And sadly, it would happen. Yep. So that is about TCU. Now, Michigan is one of those teams Saturday when they play against Ohio State. And we'll talk about Ohio State and Michigan on Saturday, because this is going to be our first week in a long time doing 2 streams. So this is just a special Wednesday night edition of college football wraparound. So, very enjoyable to have an episode here midweek. But, I think that if you're Michigan, you've got to come out and play convincingly against a team like Ohio State, because if they struggle. Now, here's my thing, folks. If Ohio State and Michigan is a very, very close game, then this one is going to be one of those situations where it would be hard to leave a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State out of the playoff if it's close and if it comes down to the last play of the game. That all being said, it wouldn't be out of the blue to suspect that, something could happen. Say Michigan were to look really bad and Ohio State, TCU, and USC went out, USC would jump Michigan because USC would just be better. For that matter, I don't know. I feel like Ohio State is much safer than Michigan. Just considering the fact that they would win at home against Michigan because, I don't know. It would be interesting just to see what's going to happen with Michigan and TCU. Those are teams 3 and 4 in the CFP poll right now. That is something I will announce right now, but well, we'll just see. All right. Moving on. USC and UCLA played Saturday. USC getting the win 48-45 in a game that had no defense whatsoever. And now another question has arisen from the ashes of all landscape of college football, and that is Caleb Williams. Is he an Heisman contender? Yes. He's played good football here this season. And if I could have my phone for a second, I was going to look all y'all up some stats, because I feel like that would help get us to know Caleb Williams better with how he's played. So, Caleb Williams stats on the season. All right. So, this season, Caleb Williams, so far, he is 6th in the country in passing yards with 3,480. He is tied for 4th in touchdowns with 33. He is tied for 9th with 3 interceptions. His QBR is 85.3. He is 5th in the country. So, that all being said, Caleb Williams looks really good. His completion percentage right now is about 64.9. He's got a 9-yard average. I mean, these stats, it's incredible to see this year and last year, very, very similar. Last year, he ended the year with a 64.5 completion percentage, and he had a 9.1 average on the season. So, of course, incredible stuff Caleb Williams has done. Now, considering the fact that he started his career over at USC, well, not USC, at Oklahoma. Good grief. I don't know where I'm at tonight. Either way, he started out at Oklahoma. Of course, Lincoln Riley, head coach there at Oklahoma. Then Lincoln Riley takes a job at USC. Then what happens next is that Caleb Williams decides to transfers out west to USC. Since then, he has dominated the competition in the Pac-12. Now, another thing that we're going to see from this is, and here's one thing that my eyebrows raised at, and that is the Pac-12. Is it really as good as what a lot of people are thinking after seeing the performances Caleb Williams has had in the Pac-12? Or is it competition that's lower than what you see in the SEC? And folks, I'm here to tell you, I feel like right now, one thing that would hurt Caleb Williams is his competitor for the Heisman, CJ Stroud. And the reason why I say that is because CJ Stroud has had to play tougher competition in the Big Ten than what the Pac-12 has. Because, and there's a lot of people saying, well, look at the records of these teams in the Pac-12. They're much better than what those of the Big Ten are. Okay. And I mean, your case has been rested. But here is the thing that hurts the Pac-12, and that is that these teams that have like the 9-2, 8-3 records have not played anybody. Okay, take for instance the way that Oregon looked against Georgia. They got beat. And when I mean beat, they got beat. I mean, it was bad. And since then, they have been rolling through the competition. Of course, their only loss since has been Washington at home. So you may ask, how did they do against Georgia? Bad. That bad, folks. Georgia whipped them by 46 points. The score was 49-3 at the end of the game. The score at halftime was 28-3 after Georgia put up 21 points in the second quarter. So, folks, if that doesn't tell you the Pac-12 doesn't really play any competition, I don't know what is, because I'm just telling you. USC, I don't know how they would actually do against a Georgia in the playoff. I'm just being honest. That's why when you see the CFP rankings, it's not an overreaction for who is ahead of USC right now. It's not an overreaction because the Pac-12 does not play anybody. The Pac-12 doesn't have the same quality player as what you see from other conferences. So, that all being said, Caleb Williams, he could be a contender, but he is not going to win. All right, we need to change our subject. South Carolina destroys. And when I mean destroy, I'm telling you, destroy. 63. That's right, folks. The fifth best team in college football allowed 63 to a bottom-feeding South Carolina. The whole year, folks. Yes, listen to this. The whole year, their starting quarterback, Spencer Rattler, 6 touchdowns in 9 games. Yeah, you're not hearing this wrong. No, I believe it's 8 touchdowns. I got it wrong. 8 touchdowns. He throws six against Tennessee in a massive, massive win for the Gamecocks. And folks, if this is any indication of what Beamer ball at South Carolina looks like, that's some good football. Trust me. If this is what, if they play like this every single game next year, they're going to be hard to beat. If they do have a bunch of players coming back, they will be hard to beat. Could you imagine, though, Georgia and South Carolina battling it out for the East all year round? And then, I mean, you're looking at something incredible here. And if you're looking at Tennessee's side of this, yeah, your chance to go to the playoff has been shot big time. You have about a 0% chance. And here's the thing. And Tennessee fans are going to look back at this season and say, this was a success. And in all rights, they should. 9-2. They still got a game to go against a very confident Vanderbilt team. Now, confidence and Vanderbilt are two words you never associate within college football, because Vanderbilt has never been able to keep up with anything in football. If they win this game against Tennessee after losing massive amounts of games in the SEC straight and then winning 3 straight, they would have beat Kentucky, Florida, and Tennessee all in the matter of 3 weeks to get back in the win column in the SEC. Folks, this would be incredible. Not to mention the fact that if Vanderbilt wins this football game, they would go to a bowl game at 6-6. This, folks, is just incredible to see. So Tennessee, what do they have to do to continue to be good? They just got to play their good football. Now, the thing that hurts them right now is starting quarterback Hendon Hooker. He's gone. His chance at the Heisman's probably gone too because of his injury. But I'm telling you, Tennessee does not look good. If you watch that game against South Carolina, it looked bad for them. And if that's any indication of how they play how they play against Vanderbilt and how they play in a bowl game, Tennessee would end the year 9-4. I would not be shocked. If you're a fan of Tennessee, this is a sad day because you had such an upside and now it's gone. So I'm just saying, this is incredible to see. South Carolina put up 63 points on the 5th best team in college football. That's rough. And that is where I want to lead you into the rankings, beginning with my poll. And I'm gonna make it where it's just the poll itself. So Colton, you can go ahead and take away the ticker and the banner because I want the fans to be able to see the whole list of my rankings. So this is my poll right now as it stands. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, USC, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, Oregon, Penn State, Washington, North Carolina, Tulane, Cincinnati, Kansas State, Notre Dame, Florida State, Utah, UCLA, Ole Miss, Oregon State. I got a mistake here. I got Oregon State twice, and then UCF and UTSA. And I believe what I was trying to do there, I believe I was going to try to put Coastal Carolina in there either 22 or 23. So, that is my poll. And now we move on to the CFP rankings. There you have it. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. And right there, number 5 is where a lot of people are kind of shocked right now that LSU is at number 5 ahead of USC. Then you've got Alabama, Clemson, Oregon, Tennessee, Penn State, Kansas State, Washington, Utah, Notre Dame, Florida State, North Carolina, UCLA, Tulane, Ole Miss, Oregon State, UCF, Texas, Cincinnati, and Louisville. That is the rankings as of now in the college football playoff. Things are going to change this week for sure. And why are they going to change? Because you look at that top ranking right there, number 2 and 3, playing each other, or Ohio State and Michigan, things will change. The question is going to be here whether or not either Ohio State or Michigan stay in the top 4 if it's a close game. Because, these two teams I feel like are going to give you a look at what a playoff game is going to look like. So I would not be shocked if either one, whoever loses, gets that 4th spot, and you see, honestly, what I think you're going to see next week is you're either going to see Ohio State or Michigan at 2, and then Ohio State or Michigan at 4. So you would have Georgia, Ohio State or Michigan at 2, and then 3 TCU, and then Ohio State or Michigan at 4. And things are going to depend on, and here's the big question here now. If LSU beats Georgia in the FCC championship game, because let's all be honest here, unless Georgia were to lose their next 2 games, Georgia has pretty much stamped their ticket to the college football playoff. They just got to beat Georgia Tech and they're in. And then, but here's the thing. If LSU beats Texas A&M Saturday and then goes and beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, does LSU get into the playoff? Now, it's hard to actually think about LSU 11-2 and they would be in the playoff. Insane. So we'll see what happens, but golly, this is shaping up to be one of the craziest endings to a college football season in a long time. And quite frankly, I don't know if we have our top 4 really solidified right now. Because let's be honest, if TCU were to lose, if they lose or slip up anywhere, they're out. So we'll just see what happens. But I'm telling you, folks, this season is about to get interesting. So, okay. So we've got about a couple things left to talk about until I've got a big announcement coming up here in moments. So, right now, so, let's go ahead. I'm going to do a quick question and answers time till about 7:30. So, if you have any questions, put it in the chat now. And then I'll be right back in just one moment, folks. So, I'm going to put you back onto the CFP rankings slide, and I'll be right back. Just one moment. All right. I am back, folks. After consulting with my editor Colton, he is Colton, my editor Colton, he has said that he would answer at least 1 or 2 questions. So I'm going to put him on camera real quick. So and folks, I got a new camera. So Here is the quality. As you can see, it is incredible quality. So I'm going to switch over to the microphone that's on it, and we'll see how it. So here we go. There we go. Right there. So we'll start with some questions right now, and we'll just see what you have to ask us here on the channel. So Colton, how have you been?
Pretty good.
Good. So how's it feel to be back editing?
Different.
Really different?
Mm-hmm. So, Rusty, this wasn't a question, but Rusty said earlier, Red Rusty, sorry, he said, Cooper is a bearded football genius, y'all. What is your thoughts? Comments? Complaints?
I like it. I like the beard. It's a good look for me, I would say. So I enjoy it a lot.
Corey,
Thank you, Red Rusty.
Corey says he can't hear me. Can you hear me now, sir?
So we'll wait and see if Corey can hear right at this moment.
It doesn't have to be Corey anyway. Maybe. We're going to hear me maybe. Can you hear Cooper? Okay. If you hear me say Oklahoma's... Okay. So you don't have to say that. Okay. Aiden said, do you think Michigan might have a real chance in the finals?
I think so. I think they really do, considering the field. I feel like, though, if you really look at it, Georgia's the team to watch out for. But Michigan has a good shot. They really do. I think what they got to do is either beat Ohio State and win the Big 10 championship, or they just have to continue. They got to play a really good football game against Ohio State at the Shoe on Saturday. So,
okay. Corey also said, will Spencer Rattler win Heisman?
No.
Can I answer this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Heck no. Okay.
Oh, we got a heck no, folks.
Chris Naylor said, will TCU lose Big 12 championship game?
Yes.
I think they'll lose. Who are they playing?
They will play either Kansas State. So Kansas State will have to win Saturday. As long as they win, they're in. Now, the other scenario that you see what happens is Texas gets in if Kansas State loses and Texas wins. So that's your scenario right there for the Big 12 championship game.
I miss the days when Oklahoma. I'm even wearing an Oklahoma shirt too. I don't think anyone can see it.
There you go.
I miss the days when we were always in it. It's been what, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years. The COVID year was the last year that Oklahoma was in the Big 12 championship game. Played against
COVID helped us out.
Played against Iowa State. Okay, we got another question.
TCU is as good as Tennessee. I strongly agree.
Actually, I'll be honest.
May I please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Tennessee is overrated. Their coach is really good, but I really do not think, without Hendon Hooker, they're not very good.
I will beg to differ with you a little bit because considering the fact that the competition that Tennessee plays is a lot harder than TCU, and what Tennessee has done so far, I think Tennessee takes the edge over TCU. That's me personally, but that's just me.
Will Cincy beat Tulane?
UCF lose to USF, then Cincy lose in the AAC championship, so Troy goes to the New Year's Six Bowl.
Okay, that was a long message. It's kind of hard to read.
That's all a bunch of things I can see happening. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think Cincy will beat Tulane. I think UCF will actually beat USF. And then Cincy, I don't know about that. I think they might win the AAC championship, but it's really a toss-up for me. Then Chris Naylor said Tennessee's best season in 25 years and still ranked behind Bama. Yeah, that's definitely something.
One thing that helps Alabama right now is the fact that they have been in every game that they played. They've either blown teams out, beat them very closely, or they have been in it to the last second of the game. Because if you remember, Alabama could easily be 11-0 right now because Tennessee wins on a last-second field goal there in Neyland, and then against LSU you just lose on a 2-point conversion. And really, what you could see is the Tennessee game. You had a bunch of missed calls. Well, actually, it's not missed calls. It's a bunch of calls against Alabama that were really stupid as far as like pass interference and stuff like that. And then against LSU, you had a bunch of bad play calling as far as from your offensive and defensive coordinator. So that really hurt Alabama against LSU. So easily Alabama could be 11-0. Or also, if you're looking at it, Alabama could easily be like 3-8, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think they'll beat Auburn.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens, but of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corey says, top 4 next year in your opinion. I'll go ahead and go first because I've been thinking about this for about 10 seconds. So I think number 1 is definitely going to be Oklahoma. We have an amazing head coach. And don't laugh at me when I say this.
Hey, loyal to his team. That's good. Applaud.
Number 2 will definitely be Georgia. Number 3 will be Alabama. And number 4 is probably going to be, I'm conflicted, so either Ohio State, Clemson, or USC. As much as I hate their coach, it bugs me, but.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go Alabama number 1. I'd have Georgia probably number 2. 3, I'm going to go Ohio State, and 4 will probably be Clemson. I think that's fair to say.
Okay. What team has been the biggest surprise and biggest flop? Biggest surprise for me has definitely been Tennessee. I did not think they'd win quite as many games. I thought they'd go like 2-10. But and then the biggest flop in my opinion, you're looking at me very concerned. The biggest flop in my opinion would definitely have to be Auburn. Although they've never been good anyway.
Yeah,
Vandy might be.
I mean, I got to go look at my rankings just for a second because I think that would give me an accurate look at it. But honestly, if I'm looking at this, I think the biggest surprise for me is probably TCU. I did not expect them to be this good. Honestly, I don't think I really had any expectations for them. I just, never really thought they'd be any good. And then biggest flop, honestly, for me, would probably be Texas, considering the fact that I had them go into the playoffs. And they are 7-4 right now, sitting at number 23 in the college football rankings. So, I mean.
Okay, Corey says UConn is the biggest surprise, and then he corrected himself and said, or Kansas. I'm going to correct you again and say Vandy would be. Out of those 3 teams, I think Vandy's the biggest surprise. If you told me 2 years ago Vandy would ever win even close to 5 games, I'd laugh in your face. And I think they're going to be Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I might jinx it.
All right. We're going to take this last question from Chris Naylor, and then we're going to move on. We don't have a lot of time left because we got a bunch of stuff coming up because we got to talk about Tulane and Cincinnati, the Egg Bowl, Lane Kiffin's. If this is Lane Kiffin's last game at Ole Miss, then our Week 12 prediction recap. We got a special announcement, and then, of course, our game picks. So we've got to roll on. So we're going to take this last question. Colton, go ahead.
Florida State is the biggest surprise, and biggest flop is Nebraska. I mean, yeah, Nebraska, they lost their coach. way too early. I think they should have held on to Scott Frost. But
Yeah,
I feel like Scott Frost is a good coach, bad team, bad recruitment class.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think what you saw here is what I consider the way that you should do coaching hirings and stuff like that. And that is hang on to the coach for a good while, play things out, let's see where they're at, and if you don't like the way they're going after about 4 years, let them go.
Yeah.
That's simple. Auburn is a team that I was like, okay, you're stupid because you let Harsin go before we really knew
But that was
if everything
that
would
wasn't
go.
Auburn. That was the boosters. They really went out.
Yeah.
But last thing, right before you get into everything else, Corey made this awful claim about. I'm not even looking at the biggest surprise. I'm looking at the flop part. This is an awful offensive claim, Corey. I'm calling you out.
Oklahoma's not really the biggest flop, trust me.
They're not the biggest flop.
No.
New coach.
I mean, I knew Oklahoma was not going to be, number one in college football. I knew it because Venables, never been head coach. We don't know what he's going to be like. Give it some time.
Okay,
That's my message to folks. All right.
We can move on now.
So, I'm going to, for right now, take you through these next couple of segments, and Colton will return because he's got a big announcement.
A little bit later. There we go. Got my microphone back on for you folks. So what I was saying is Colton's got a big announcement coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and get you through the next couple of topics here on college football wraparound, and we're going to talk about Tulane and Cincinnati, and the winner is going to make the American Championship game. So, what do I see from this? Well, honestly, I think this is interesting because Cincinnati in the college football playoff last year, and really, not as good this year, but still, I mean, 9-2 is really good, and they can still, go to the conference championship game. So I was gonna look up some stats for you here right now, because I think that'll be very helpful to understand what's going on. Ben Bryant has done it's pretty good. He's thrown for 2,732 yards this season. He's 213 for 348. A 61.2 completion percentage, which is honestly pretty good considering the fact that they play in the American. And then his average is 7.9 yards. He's thrown 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions this season. So I mean, solid for a American quarterback. And then rushing, McClellan has attempted to run 132 times this season. He's gotten 777 yards. That's a 5.9 average, and he's got 6 touchdowns on the season. So it's looking pretty good for the Bearcats right there. And then you look at Tulane, because I want to give you some stats that interest you. But as you can see, Colton continues to test out what is best there for the ticker down there. So Pratt, the quarterback at Tulane, Stone, 2,220 yards. He is 174 for 266. He's got a 65.4 completion percentage, and his average is 8.3. He's thrown 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And then the run game, really good. Spears for Tulane, 155 attempts, 996 yards. So once he gets 4 yards in this game against Cincinnati, he's got 1,000 on the season. He's got a 6.4 yard average, 12 touchdowns on the season. So that gives you some context into how these teams are going to do. I think what you're going to see is like maybe heavy run game. So I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in this game. So yeah. So I'll pick the winner of this game a little bit later. But now we move on to the Egg Bowl and um Ole Miss and Mississippi State. This is going to be tomorrow night, the only college football game on tomorrow night. And this is a fun one to think about because you got Mike Leach, you got Lane Kiffin, and this is just going to be so much fun. And really, I think what you're going to see is, can Ole Miss effectively run the football? And then the other question I have is, what kind of Mississippi State team are we going to get? Because there have been games where they look incredible, and then there's games where they have kind of not been looking incredible. So we'll see what kind of Ole Miss Mississippi State game, but this is gonna be such a good game, folks. I'm so ready to see this one tomorrow night. This is gonna be so much fun. So um we'll just see what happens. But um the next thing I want to talk about is Lane Kiffin done at Ole Miss after this game. No. And let me tell you this, because, well, let me give you some context into why I say no. The reason why I say no is because I think he would be stupid to leave Ole Miss for Auburn, because that's what he's been connected to, is Auburn. Reason why he'd be stupid to do it is because the way that he's comfortably built up a pretty good program at Ole Miss this year. Not quite as good. Um, you know, this year's just not been quite as good as what last year was. Considering the fact that you had a really good quarterback in Matt Corral who could have possibly been a Heisman contender, and then now with you don't have that anymore. I would just consider the fact that of that right there. So we'll just see what happens, but you know, I think he's fine at Ole Miss because he's building up a bunch of stuff. And for you fans right now, we do have a question, and this is Juice Kiffin the best mascot in college football? So in the next few minutes, you can talk about that. So our next segment right now, we're going to talk about my week 11 predictions recap. I got a video to show you. So here we go. We will show you that, and we will be back in just a moment. So those were my game picks right there for you. That was from a couple weeks ago, and so I will get you that. But for right now, it is time to hand the stream back over to Colton for a moment because he has got something special to show you that is coming up here on the channel. So we're gonna give the camera back to Colton, and he will play this video for you. So.
So that was the first trailer for the 2022 Saber Broadcast Network Christmas Special. It will be premiering on December 24th at 7 p.m. Is it Central Time?
7 p.m. Central Time. Yep.
And it's going to be longer than last year. It's better than last year, and it's definitely going to. I'm gonna say it's gonna be one of the best videos on this channel for sure. So don't miss it. Mark your calendars. That's Christmas Eve this year. Don't miss it.
Yep. So right now I am currently trying to get you that those picks that I had and show you the record. I don't think it's looking too good right now for me.
When was the last time I picked?
Week 3.
Week 3. So that's been what? 8 weeks? 9 weeks?
Yep. Actually about 10.
So I've been absent for a while.
Yep.
Okay. So, Aiden said that he's working on a video for Christmas special. Oh yeah. So the Christmas special at the end we're gonna have people saying Merry Christmas, and we did last year. If you haven't seen last year's Christmas special, watch it. It's not too great, but it was definitely a good,
Starter.
Yeah, it was a good like pilot program. And this year's gonna be, I think it was about 15 minutes long. I think this year we're gonna try to make it at least like 20, 30 minutes long. Hopefully. So far we haven't gotten too much filmed, but we still have to film mine yours stuff, so it should.
Yep.
So there's skits, performances. Last year we had someone play, what was it, the flute?
Mhm.
So that was pretty good. This year I think we're gonna have a band. Maybe we'll
Maybe.
we'll have
Yep.
to see. We'll have to see what they say. Like we had last year, we're gonna have someone singing, not singing, telling the Christmas story, the true Christmas story
Yep.
about Jesus when he was born. It's very good. It's not that long. You can watch it Christmas Eve when we air it, or you can watch it after because it's gonna be on the channel. You could even watch it in the middle of the summer if you just have the desire to. You can watch it year round.
Yep. So, it is time to get into some game picks right now, and so, yep. So we got some game picks coming up. Here's the record. I went 4-6 a couple weeks ago. Of course, last week, that show was canceled. So, we'll of course get things rolling. But so first game that we're going to be picking is is NC State and North Carolina. So Colton, what are you thinking?
I'm picking North Carolina here.
Yeah, I'm going to go North Carolina as well. I think they play a good brand of football. I'll go North Carolina. So Utah State and Boise State. What do you think, Colton?
South Carolina, Boise State.
Utah State, Boise State.
Utah State. I'm gonna say Utah State here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Boise State to go opposite of you. Boise State is in the Mountain West Championship game. They'll be playing Fresno State. So yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna go Boise State there. And then we got Wyoming and Fresno State. Colton, who are you picking?
I got an upset. I got Fresno State.
Not really an upset, but Fresno State I think they're going to win the football game. They're, of course, going to the
You're
Mountain West
talking like
Championship.
this.
I think Boise,
I'm just
which is,
kidding.
yeah. Either way, UCLA and Cal. Colton, who you got?
I got UCLA.
I'm going to take UCLA as well. I think they'll get things done and in the season 9-3. Then we got Baylor and Texas. Now, if Texas wins, then they need Kansas State to lose in order to get to the Big 12 championship game. If Kansas State wins, it doesn't matter what the result of Texas and Baylor is. Kansas State will be in the Big 12 championship game. So, Cole, what do you think?
So I'm here to say, Texas, don't get your hopes up. Baylor's gonna beat you. I even got a score. I'm gonna say by 10. Baylor is an amazing team.
Okay. I'm going to go Texas. I think Texas is going to go to the Big 12 championship game and wreck TCU season. All right, Nebraska and Iowa. Who do you got, Colton?
I got Nebraska. I think they'll start turning things around. Next year they're going to be at least a playoff team. So I think they're going to start doing a little better. But like I said earlier, it's not that
I'm going to go Iowa here. I think Iowa, they're looking to go to the Big Ten championship game. They're going to play a good football game, and they'll beat Nebraska. All right, Arkansas, Missouri. This one, Arkansas, they are already in a bowl game. Missouri needs to win this to get to a bowl game. Who you got?
I think Missouri will have the drive to win. They almost beat Georgia, which that's surprising enough as it is. It's even more surprising that they aren't bowl eligible yet, being that they almost beat Georgia, which is like the superior team. So I definitely think they're going to win this. In Arkansas, they went downhill quick.
I'm going to go Arkansas. I think they finish the season on a high note and they go to a bowl game and end up about 8-5 on the season. All right, Florida and Florida State. This one's at Florida State. It's going to be on prime time Friday night. Who you got?
I got Florida. Coming off that loss to Vandy, I think they can win.
I'm going to go Florida State. I like what I've seen from Florida State this season, and I think they'll just continue a great season. Go 9-3, folks. Great year for Florida State coming back from all their downs of the last few years. And then, this is for an American Championship game berth right here. Tulane, Cincinnati. Colton, who you got?
I got Tulane. I think Cincinnati upset. I think that could be I think everyone's going to make a big deal of it. I don't think it's a big deal. Tulane is a great team, and Cincinnati's just not that great this year.
I'm going to go Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati goes to their second straight American Championship game. Of course, it'll be the last one they can play in. I think it's going to be Cincinnati UCF, their last American Championship game, and their last American.
Where are they going? Big 12.
They're going to Big 12. So, yeah.
And we're ditching.
Yep. And then our game of the week for Thursday and Friday. Mississippi State and Ole Miss, our only game on Thanksgiving night here in college football. Who you got, Colton?
I got Ole Miss. I love Lane Kiffin as a coach, and Juice Kiffin's the best mascot.
I'm going to go with Mississippi State for the upset. at Ole Miss.
It could happen.
Mike Leach is going to lead a great team.
I think Juice Kiffin will motivate Lane to win.
Well, that is our game picks. Of course, it's time for an outro, but basically what we're going to do is Colton, we're coming back Saturday. But,
we can show the trailer one more time.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. And I failed to mention that the trailer will be uploaded. I don't know if we're going to upload it as a YouTube short or what. Probably YouTube short, because it's pretty short.
So
we can post it both. I think we could give it a view.
The plan is for here on the channel, Saturday, I believe it's December 10th, when Army and Navy are going to be playing. We will not be doing college football wraparound, but instead we'll post that trailer then.
Okay.
So, of course,
so you got your sneak preview.
Yeah, so it's just going to be a normal video.
Trailer.
So
will we extend it out? We probably.
Yes, we'll extend it out. We'll have much more stuff in by that time. So, of course, be on the lookout for that. And that is all we got about today. We'll see you again Saturday, 10 a.m. right here on Favor Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody.